Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
Welcome everybody. Yes, another inbox review, and yes, another trumpeter. Now, we'll start from the top and we'll work the way through. Start off with, it's a trumpeter, it's 1/35 scale, and this is the German Pz.KpfW 4. The rest of it I'm not going to pronounce because I can't. The length of it is 174 millimeters. The width is 94 millimeters. The part count is 675 pieces. Normal gun from the box, not suitable for children under the age of 3. And we'll find a part number, and the kit number is 00362. Right, that's just the basic information about it. What is it? This is the actual vehicle that carried the projectiles to the mortar, because I don't think you'd want a few tons of them big shells sat right next to where you're firing. It carried about four not shells, I'll get told off by John Moore there. It carried 4 of the projectiles, and also it loaded them onto the mortar for firing. This is going to go in as part of the group build. This is actually going to go onto the 80-ton flatbed transporter. There's going to be 2 of these, and you're going to say, why 2? Because I've already built one. I built one 4 years ago and made a reasonable job of it, but I wanted to make a better job of it, so I bought another one. Price. I picked this one up off eBay for 30 quid, which was cheap. They're normally retailing about 40 to 45 pound. They even go up more. So if you're after one of these, it's best to have a look around. They are out there at a sensible price. Now, box art, very nice. We've got a little thing here to say that we've got, as a bonus, we've got link tracks as well as the vinyl ones, which is nice because I don't like vinyl ones. On the side of the box there is a lot of photo edge in this, guys, there really is, but you do get some nice aluminium turn shells in this. On the other side, what we got now, we've actually got some pictures there showing you the actual finished item. You can just see the shells in the back there. Pretty good, nice and cool. So I'll turn that round and we'll have the lid off. There we go. Very nicely packed. Start off with, we've got a photo edge sheet on its own piece of cardboard, and like I said, there's plenty of photo edge, especially for them people who like photo edge. I'm not a great lover, but we will have to do that. Now I'm going to put that somewhere safe. Just excuse me for a second. Put that down there. Then we have the workshop manual, and also we have a painting and marking guide. Very, very handy. We have 1 sprue of, well, actually there are 2 sprues in there, but of shells, plastic shells, very nice. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sprues of parts for the vehicle. I'm not going to count in the tracks because that's a bit silly really. So what have we got in there? 2, 4, 6. We've got 8 sprues of the tracks. Very nice. And laying at the bottom here, totally, that's a bit of a shame, but that's going to take some sorting out. Mind you, it ain't going to take me no sorting out because I'll be using the link ones, but link to link, yeah, that's what they are. But for those who wanted to use the actual rubber bands, that would take a little bit of sorting out. That's a shame. In the little compartment next to it we have the lower hull. Nice little hull, well detailed. We also have a piece of string. By the look of it, we've got springs and we've got little rivets in there. My god, I don't remember them, but there you go. And also a piece of copper wire and a piece of clear plastic. And finally, we have a set of these beautiful aluminium turn shells. Very, very nice, very nice. And I think that's it. Yes, that's it. They probably would have been better off putting the tracks inside that bit, unless they were, and this has been unpacked at some point and then slung back in the box. Okay, that's everything that's in the box, so we'll get set up and we're going to have a look at the workshop manual. We'll start off with the painting and marking guide, and it hasn't got any manufacturers on the paints. It's only got Mr. Colour used, that's it. So not very much help there, but it's going to be German grey, so hey ho, you can use that anywhere. Okay, workshop manual. Now it's quite a thick little booklet, this is. So normal gump on the front, read before assembling, instructions about cutting your decals off and things like that. Into the first page, and then we've got our sprue layout. Very nice, all nicely numbered, nice and clear, everything that's in the kit. Stages 1 and 2 are all to do with the wheel assembly, lower hull. I'm not going to linger too long because there is a lot here to do. 3 and 4, like I say, we're working on the exhaust, all the parts for the lower hull, what should I say, the suspension and running gear. It's putting the wheels on, putting the bogies on, drive sprockets and idler wheels. Onto 7 and 8, this is just all about the tracks, the link and link ones, just telling you how many you need. And then we move on to the upper hull assembly. Lots of hatches and plates and good knows what else to go on there. I don't remember it being this complicated actually, but there you go. Then we're on to the fenders. That's where the little springs and the PE bits, these are all movable at the end. Oh, God, you can make them up in PE or you've actually got them in plastic, so it's a decision that you'll have to make. Still on the upper hull, loads and loads of bits going on, exhaust, all the bits and pieces. As you can see, quite busy, quite a lot going on. That's 12. Then we're on to 13 and 14. We're still on the upper hull. It's nice they're only just showing you a few bits that you need to be putting on. Pioneer tools, storage boxes, well, I think that's the vents for the engine on the side going on, lights. Moving on, still more bits on the upper hull, and then we finally get to the assembly of the like storage box that carries the projectiles. There's PE for the ends of the projectiles as well, which is nice. It's just going on, putting them in, making use of the brackets to hold them in place. I would say you could have this open or closed, because it would be a bit stupid just having it closed, because you wouldn't be able to see anything inside. But there you go, it has been known. Moving on, yeah, well, yes, it's showing you on this one. That one's closed, this one's open. Stupid. Showing you that there's PE bits and pieces to hold all the doors open so you can see what's going on inside. Nice. Moving on, then we just put in the fixing brackets on all the handles if you've got it closed, and then actually fixing it to the upper hull, which makes it look quite beefy. Moving on, all the little like running boards around the outside so they could actually stand on and get the hatches open. And then we actually move on to the crane. This is the crane. There's quite a lot in the crane, as you can see. At least we've got a diagram to show you how to actually put the string on. Nice and useful, because they don't normally do that. They just normally show it like that and that's it. The actual grab that lifts the projectiles up, you can do it in the PE or in plastic, which is useful, because if you're not too keen on the PE, at least you've got a plastic option. So that's it, all assembled. That's what it should look like when you've finished. That is in the transport mode. That's when it would be on the back of the flatbed, and they would normally have a tarpaulin over them as well to disguise the shape. That is in just when it's moving from picking the shells up. Sorry, I've said it again. Sorry, John. Picking the projectiles up. That would be in that position, so it would be ready to use for the loading and unloading of them. So that is it. That's the workshop manual. We've had a good look at that. Now let's have a good look at the parts. Okay, we start with sprue H. Now this sprue contains quite a lot of the actual little crane that actually sits on the top. All the parts are nice and clean. There's no flash on them, as you can see. Just quickly go through them. That's the bottom half of your crane. We've got the upper hull. There's not much detail on it because there's quite a lot that actually goes on top of it. Then we've got all the little pins and the hooks. We've actually got the lifting arms for the actual shells, projectiles. Now you've got them in styrene as well as in PE, so you have a choice there. This is the other part to it that holds the two claws, should I say. So you've got an option there. If you don't want to do the PE, you can actually use the styrene. But all nice and clean, no complaints. Okay, this is F. Now this has got quite a lot of bits and pieces on. I'm not quite sure what. There's some type of wheel, I'm not sure. We've also got the clamps to clamp the actual shells down inside, which there is a PE version for them as well. We've also got the air intake in styrene, or you can actually build it in PE. We've got spare tracks, small pins, and lots of little bits and pieces, as there is a lot of little bits and pieces to actually go on this, but all nice and clean. I can't see no problems with any of them. And we do have two of these frets. We're going to call them trees. I don't like the word sprue. It always sounds like a screw, so we're going to call them trees. So that's tree F. This is tree A. Now this has got basically all the bogies, suspension, all the lower running gear. As you can see, it's all nice and clean, reasonably sharp and crisp. Lots of little bits, and the nice thing about it, there's no flash. It's going to be very minimal cleanup. Well, it's never minimal cleanup on these, but on the back side, oh, we have a little bit of flash there. Send that back to Trumpeter, get them to do me a refund. But all nice and clean. So there's two of them sprues, and that's sprue A. Okay, we've got two sprues joined together here, and this is sprue B, which we're looking at now. This sprue's mainly got all your back plates, front plates, hatches, all the little bits and pieces like that. All nice and clean. Can't see no problems with that if we turn it that way. We've got the front drive as well there, all nice and clean. I can't see no problems with that. We'll have a quick look at the back. The bits you're not going to see. So all nice and clean and reasonably sharp. Now the other sprue is sprue D. We've got the idler wheels on the exhaust, main drive, well, drive sprocket should I say. Turn that round. The other smaller part of the exhaust and the hatches. Like I say, all nice and clean, no problems, and I'm quite happy that the attachment points are on the end of the teeth. Just makes life a little bit easier. I've had them where they're in the middle, a lot of cleanup and mucking about, but there you go. Sprue D. Right, on to sprue E. Now this is housing, well, it's got a lot of the fenders and bits and pieces on there. I hope you can see it's got nice checker plate finish on them, no problems at all, nicely detailed. We've got some nice wood graining on the boards. That's the actual housings that hold the shells, the four, sorry, projectiles. I'll get that right. I'll have John Moore after me. The sides all nice and clean. Turn it round. That's the end piece, and we have another board there that goes right at the back, and we have another fender there, or mudguard, or whichever you want to call it. All nicely detailed. I can't see no problems with them. No problems at all. Have a quick look on the back. As normal, you've got all the injector mark pins, but luckily all them bits are not going to be seen. Maybe the inside of this you might have a bit of a problem. There is deep injector mark pins there, especially if you're going to have it open, so there might be a bit of filling, and on the doors as well, so that could be something if you're building to look out for. Turn that round. Inside of the bits and pieces, you've got quite a lot of injector mark pins on the inside there, so like I say, that could work out to be a problem a bit later on, especially if you're having the actual doors open. But all in all, very clean. I've got two little frets here, P2 and N. Mainly all the Pioneer tools, as you can see. As normal, all nice and clean. I don't know quite, is that a little bit of flash? Yes, it's a little bit of a little thing that takes the air out of the mould, but all nice and clean, no problems with them. Hopefully they should all clean up nice, paint up nice and look good. Right, on to the lower hull, or the tub, nicely detailed, nice and clean, no problems with that at all. No, I don't see any problems at all with that. Right, we'll take a look at the tracks. Now, there is 8 sprues, there's 32 pieces on each sprue, so you can, I'll leave you to do the calculations of how many bits you've actually got, but they're all nice and clean. You've got 3 attachment points, but I think with a pair of cutters you could get nice and close, and they're nice flat sides, so cleanup shouldn't be too much of an issue. You have got a guide horn, and it's a hollow guide horn as well, which is very nice. I've been through all of them. There's no flash on them. They're all nicely made up, but no complaints at all about them. Just about sitting there and cutting them off and assembling them. Okay, moving on to sprue C. Now this is just housing all your shells. You have the smaller ones and you have the larger ones. You've got two sprues with this. You've got a sprue C, and you also, oh, they're both C. I thought one said G, but hang on, let me have a look. Actually, it is a G. Yes, it is a G. So it's just the two halves of your shells. It does take a bit of time to get the seam line totally vanished on them. That was the only thing I didn't like, but there's no point in looking inside because we're not going to see the inside, but we'll do it anyway. And you've actually got the ends there for your shells as well. So they're sprue G. Okay, a little bit of tissue so we can actually see these tracks. Now, I was a little bit disappointed with these tracks, especially the way they're being packed, and if you were going to use them, it's going to take a bit of time to write them, but they're reasonably nice tracks. You have got hollow guide horns on them, which is nice. They're all nicely made up. To be quite honest with you, they are rather nice and clean. I can't see hardly no flat. Well, there is little tiny bits and pieces sticking out. You can see it just there, but I'm not going to be personally using them, but there is people out there that do like them, and I'm not going to argue with that. But it's just a bit of a shame that the way they were packed, it means you've got a bit of work to do. And while we're doing the shells, we now have a look at these. These are some extremely nice aluminium turned shells, which you do have photo edge to go around the bottoms and around the outside, but they're extremely nicely turned, as you can see. I mean, it's about the size of a 50 cal bullet there, but extremely nice, really are nice. Okay, moving on to the photo edge, and forgive me, I'm not going to take it all out. I've taken one piece out just to see the thickness. It's a reasonable thickness, and also it is all covered with plastic on both sides, which makes, what I personally think, it makes a lot easier for actually getting the parts out. You don't have the little parts pinging all over the place and losing them. But we've got a small fret here with bolt heads on it by the look of it. We've got the idler wheels inners, that's them. This fret contains all your pieces to actually make the claw to actually pick the projectile up with. This particular one we've got for the turned shells. These are the ends for that, and also the wraparound to give it that studded effect. These bits here, I think these are all to do with the air intake, but I won't swear on that. Then we've got multiple little bits and pieces for different areas. What they're for, not offhand I could actually tell you. Moving on to this one. This is the actual air intake and grills. They are a bit fiddly. If I remember rightly, I did do this in the PE, and it was a little bit fiddly having to slot these bits in on top of these bits, but again, PE is fiddly. And the final fret at the end here, this is for your mud guards, because you can actually construct all the front mud guards so they actually work, so they actually lift up and down, because they actually do supply you with the pins and springs from, which I shall show you in a second. Now, also the towing hitches, you've got a choice between the PE ones and the plastic, well, the styrene ones. The PE ones, they do look nice when they're done. The copper wire and that they supply you to make the actual bolts and that up on it, it does look pretty good when it's done. So that's basically all the PE. Now I shall move that out. Okay, I'm just going to slide this in here now. Now these are the final bits and pieces. These are the springs and the brass pins to actually make the end of the mud guards or fenders, whatever you want to call them. That makes more work with the PE. Now I'll just bring that in. They also give you a little ball of string. I gather that's to do the wire on the actual hoist, or the crane, whichever one you want to call it. And also there's a couple of bits of wire, 2 different gauges. I use the thicker stuff to actually make the bolts to actually go through for the towing hitches, because they look pretty good. And finally but not least is, as I put my hand underneath there, you will get a small piece of plastic, and it is a small piece of plastic, with the vision ports for the driver on, and that's it. Well, that's everything that you get in this kit. So thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.